All right. Hello, everybody. KVUE Chief Meteorologist Hunter Williams here with our nightly extended update on the forecast. Obviously, our main focus for now is the Easter weekend forecast. It does include a couple rounds of possible showers and storms, but we're going to have a lot of dry time over the Easter weekend. I think a lot of folks, maybe you're looking at the phone app or you're just looking at the 7-day, you see 60-70% chance for rain. It's not going to be a washout, I promise you. So for Easter morning, around 7 a.m. Now, I know a lot of folks do sunrise service, do early morning church. There will likely be some showers and storms around in the metro in that 7 to 8 a.m. window. I'm not saying it's going to be pouring rain everywhere, but I do think there's going to be some wet weather. 64 degrees to start the day. By noon, though, it's only a 20% chance for a spotty shower. Then I think most of the afternoon is completely dry, mix of clouds and sunshine, high temperature of about 82 or so. So again, for morning church services, just kind of check in with the KVUE app, check in with the Daybreak team before you head out. Otherwise, I think for the afternoon, any Easter egg hunts, anything you're doing outside for the afternoon, I think is going to be completely fine. Here's the main rain window, the start and the end that we're looking at. These are kind of generalized, so I'm not saying this is exactly when it will start and stop, but generally it's about 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. Saturday night into Sunday morning for the hill country. So especially in the hill country, I think by church time, rain's done for most of these areas. More so, it's the Austin Metro and the I-35 corridor in that 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. window. That's just a little bit more when folks are starting to get up and active. There will be some rain and storms around. And then it's a little bit later, 9 a.m. to noon for our easternmost areas, but especially here, this is where that line of showers really is going to start to weaken. So there's probably going to be some areas in that zone that really don't see that much wet weather at all. Here's the hour-by-hour rain chance forecast for Sunday, just another way to visualize this. Again, it's a 40 to 50% rain chance in the morning. Not a guarantee that everybody sees any rain at all, but there will be some rain and storms around in the morning. And then as we get lunchtime, especially into the afternoon, it should be pretty much completely dry. Here's a live look outside from our Oasis Cam. You can see the numbers today. It was very warm and very breezy. The high today was 93 for Austin Camp Mabry. That's our warmest weather of the week. We hit 91 at the airport today. Average for this time of the year is 81. The record was 98. Thankfully, we weren't quite that hot. Now, here's the wind speed as we record this at 7:03. Gusting to 23 right now in Austin. Earlier today, it was gusting to 30 miles per hour. Bastrop gusting to 25. San Marcos still gusting to 29. We're going to have more of these type wind gusts through tonight and through most of the day tomorrow. We can't quite kick the wind just yet. Of course, when it gets breezy like this, especially southeast wind, that's a good sign that, hey, a storm system is getting a little bit closer to us. And that's the case. You can see there's some light rain that's already developed out over West Texas and the Panhandle. Out ahead of this, a bigger upper level storm system producing some mountain snow over parts of Colorado. But as this system dives down towards the Texas Panhandle, it's going to help contribute to some rain and storm chances for us starting this weekend. And then generally speaking, I think our forecast pattern is still pretty active as we get into next week as well. So especially in Austin, I think a lot of folks are not going to be happy with just a little bit of spotty rain, but it's not the only rain chances we're tracking. For tonight, this is a little bit of a tricky part of our forecast. We'll see if a couple storms can move into the hill country. It's not going to rain in Austin tonight, but Mason, Llano, Gillespie County, you could be grazed by a couple of strong storms. You can see there is technically a marginal level 1 risk for Mason County. And then here's our storm outlook for Saturday night into Sunday, which is when a more widespread round of rain and storms will move in. Level 2 risk, Northwest Travis, Western Wilco into the hill country. The idea, as we mentioned, is that storms are weakening on approach to Austin, so that it goes down to a level 1 marginal risk for the Austin Metro into the coastal plains, and that it's not a severe threat at all for Fayette County into parts of Lee County. For tonight, again, no rain at all in Austin. I think it's just a spotty 20% coverage for storms for Burnett, Blanco, Llano, Mason, Gillespie County, especially Mason County. Just keep an eye on things tonight. Make sure you have the KVUE app downloaded. Leave your ringer up just in case the severe thunderstorm warning gets issued. I'm not expecting major problems, but there could be some storms for those areas overnight. And that will take us into tomorrow morning. So here is 8 a.m. At that point, if some storms are able to develop over the hill country, maybe there's a few leftover showers in the hill country, but mainly it's just some low cloud cover to start, temperatures in the low 70s. And most of the day is going to be completely dry, as you can see. However, especially for the afternoon into the early evening, there's about a 30% chance for some pop-up showers, maybe a storm. If a storm got going, I don't think it would be severe during the day. And again, there's not going to be much rain around. So mainly it's dry time. And even if a shower passes over you, just give it 10, 15 minutes. I think for the most part, it's going to move through. Now, as we go into the overnight, here's 10 o'clock. At that point, we'll need to keep an eye out for stuff like this. If a couple supercell rogue storms could get going in the hill country, these could bring a severe weather threat, especially a large hail threat. Then eventually, I think we get a bigger line of storms that will come in with the cold front late overnight into Sunday morning. So here's 4 a.m. Now it's coming into Llano and Mason and Gillespie County, and the odds of rain, we feel pretty good about some decent rain over the hill country. But watch what happens as this goes west to east. By 6 a.m., this is kind of along the 281 corridor, Blanco, Johnson City, up to Marble Falls, up to Burnett to Bertram. It's still, that's kind of a solid line of storms, but and this will look familiar, as this approaches the I-35 corridor in the metro, this really starts to lose steam. So especially northern Travis, Williamson County, it's possible some areas don't get much, if any, rain at all, but still there could be kind of a broken line of showers and even a few stronger storms in here, especially Austin down into like the Kyle area, Hayes County into Caldwell County. And then as this keeps going east, it continues to weaken. But that front's still going to be kind of caught up over us, so a couple sprinkles could still develop as we go into the mid to late afternoon. But especially for Austin and the hill country, I think Easter afternoon is looking pretty nice with highs in the low to mid 80s and the sky gradually clearing. Here's a breakdown of the rain chances for Saturday night into Sunday. Again, if you live in the hill country, you are likely to get some rain and storms, but pretty quickly this drops down to a more spotty 50% in the metro. So again, I'm trying to be transparent. Not everybody in the metro and in the I-35 corridor is going to get much rain. And then especially in our eastern areas, it drops down to about a 30% for Saturday night into early Sunday. This is my forecast for how much rain we could expect just through the weekend. This isn't the entire next 7 days, but how much we could see over the weekend. Some decent rain, say a ½ inch to an inch plus over parts of Mason, Llano, Gillespie County. As you keep going east, again, as the storms start to fizzle, it goes lower, ½ inch to a ½ inch into parts of Burnett and Blanco County. Then I think this is not going to be a big rain event at all for the Austin metro and especially areas to the east. We're looking at less than ½ inch in some areas, maybe not really seeing much of anything. But hey, on the flip side, maybe a stronger storm or two makes it into the metro. There could be some localized heavy rain. I just think the odds of that continue to trend lower and lower. But as I mentioned, that's not the only rain chance we have. We've got another storm system coming in for the middle into the end of next week. So Monday will give us a break. I think no rain at all on Monday. But then by Tuesday into Tuesday night, this could be a more widespread round of rain and storms. Then we keep going into Thursday and Thursday night. More rain is possible. And then even into Friday, I think rain is going to be possible, especially in the morning. So really each day, besides Monday, each day next week, some sort of a rain chance. I'm keeping these intentionally low just because we know how these systems have behaved. But this looks relatively promising. So we'll keep an eye on that for the middle to the end of next week. I'm hopeful. Right now, the latest projection for the Weather Prediction Center says 1 to 2 inches of rain over the next 7 days. So for this weekend and for the rain coming in next week. Is that going to be, anything that changes the game with drought? Absolutely not. But again, nice to have at least some rain in the forecast as we get into the back part of April. Here's my 7-day forecast. So it's a 20% rain chance tonight. That's just for the hill country. A 30% rain chance through Saturday, high of 85. Just a 30% now for Saturday night because the timing is trended a little bit later. And then it goes up to about a 50% in the Austin area for Sunday morning. I think we're mainly dry for the second half of Sunday for all of our KVU area. Monday, 87. Tuesday, 86. And you can see the rain chances by Tuesday and Tuesday night ramp up. A 30% Tuesday, a 40% Wednesday, a 40% Thursday, and a 30% on Friday. So it's going to be kind of an active stretch, not a washout for the Easter weekend, but we're going to have some storms around. And I think we'll continue with that kind of general pattern, pretty active as we get into next week. So with that, we'll take a quick break, and the next thing from us will be our newscast at 10 o'clock. That will be coming up in about 3 hours. At that point, we'll start to see how this potential overnight round of storms for the hill country is setting up. So we'll have some new model data. We'll go over the latest on the forecast coming up for KVU News at 10 o'clock. In the meantime, y'all enjoy the rest of your Friday evening and have a happy Easter.